All right, so let me go back to the book, just a bit of it where I think around 42 to 62, where he was talking about the counter coup of July 1966. And he was trying to paint a picture of what really caused it. He said a combination of incitement and swirling rumors as psychological warfare to get northern soldiers to retaliate for the killings of January 15th. Many civilian leaders kept hammering that we were cowards for not avenging the deaths of our leaders. That is, the civilian population were telling them that they were cowards. Those of them that were in the army, but they were from the north. This view is supported by General Gowon's recollections of the Army's official history of those years. General Gowon said, the northern politicians infiltrated the northern soldiers and officers, trying to convince them that there was a need for them to retaliate. Unfortunately, some of the decisions of the Central Command in Lagos fed into the fears of those who suspected imminent sectional domination. For instance, in late May, the General Agunyurunsi-led federal government was convinced that the best way to unify the country was to issue the Unification Decree number 34. So, some of these things, in fact, if you read the book further, there's a portion where it said it was rumored that some wives of army officers from the north refused to give them conjugal obligations because they wouldn't retaliate because of the coup of 15th January. That was his account. And so at the end of the day, there was a lot of incitement, isn't it? Because the whole argument about what has happened in Nigeria is that the January 15th, 1966 coup, created a whirlpool of whatever consumed everyone. And it looks like Nigeria hasn't recovered.
That's why I'm telling you that the book and this account is a market. Sometimes you do cosmetics for makeover. This story about incitement, the first person who gave the same account was Lindsay Barrett, the foreign journalist, who wrote a book called, the title was Danjuma, The Making of a General. Danjuma was Irosi's ADC. He said the same thing, that there are people who are inciting them to retaliate. There have been other accounts. Jeremiah Debo was cosmate with Gowon. And in his own book, he talked about meeting Gowon to discuss the tensions. And Gowon said he was unhappy that the army had become involved in murderous behavior. By Madebo's account, Gowon was part of the retaliatory coup. But because he had approached him, he tried to arrange a course for him to go to London by the date of that coup. But he was reluctant, maybe he didn't know. Eventually, he asked him to go for an exercise in Kaduna. He was in Kaduna when the coup happened. He just escaped by the grace of God. But somebody who participated in that January coup, Adewale Ademoyega, if you read his own book, you will find that he was the person who even instigated the coup. He purposely joined the military army to cause what he called revolution. He was a university graduate. The only other graduate there was Ifajuna. But it was from Adewale's account, he was the person who joined the army to cause the overthrow of government. 1961, he was already graduated, he was working somewhere and decided to enlist in the army. I think he persuaded from him, or from what he said, he came together with Chukwumerije. When they got to Kaduna, they met Ifajuna. And Uche Chukwumerije, from his own account, said, if Ifajuna is in the army, that he will not join. Because when they were students, maybe they planned some controversy, and if dodged at the, and he didn't even come. Although he was selected, he did not come. So some of these stories are already known. That's what I'm saying. There are things that have not been said. The story that is an Igbo coup, it is part of what has created hate. Not too long ago, one retired Major General Lutoye is now a traditional ruler. He repeated it that Igbos are singing, goat is crying. They were celebrating that they have killed other people. But Ademoyega explained why there was no operation in Enugu. In fact, Obara was arrested. But their man who was supposed to pin him down went on course in India. So the lieutenant they recruited very late came to Enugu, when it was broad daylight. He allowed Obara to escort Archbishop Macarius before covering the State House. But because he had no support, he kept him until the whole thing fell. But that is not the issue. For me, these are people, I'm just wondering if Ademoyega maybe he's alive, but I don't think he was there. But let us assume that Zogu, who acquired notoriety for making a broadcast, because that broadcast that Zogu made was not for him to make. It was Ademoyega that was to make it from Lagos. But because they failed, Zogu now decided to take it upon himself because they had no communication. If Ademoyega had come there, what would he be saying? And if for any reason, and Forum Zogu were to be alive and writing their own book, will all those people gather? So I think it's a coalition of people who have benefited from the crisis, both from the military and from business angle. So there's nothing they are saying that is new to those people who were familiar with the crisis. The war ended in 1970s. Those of us who were children, who were in Biafra, we came back. But, soldiers used to have road march after the war. Their mobilization song was still Finish the Igbos. That's what they were singing. So, but as a time changes everything. Because you don't mount a war against people unless you hate them. Even if you don't hate them, you manufacture hatred. And it doesn't end easily. It takes generations to peter out. Those are the kind of things that...
But do you think it is petering out from what you are seeing, from the events in Nigeria yesterday, today, and probably tomorrow? Are you noticing any...
When you look at the lineup of people there, the heavyweights, you cannot see a heavyweight Igbo person there. That shows it has not petered out. If you now call a meeting of former heads of states in Nigeria, there is no single person from the Southeast. Not one single person. And it is the same issues that played out when Obi was appearing to be popular. One of the remarkable positions that somebody took, Barrister Shagari, I think either is a direct son or grandson of Shehu Shagari. I think it appeared that Obi approached him to be his running mate.
Okay, Mukhtar Shagari. I think I remember. Yeah. He was, I think, a deputy governor in Sokoto State.
Yes, and he was, I think, a minister under Obasanjo. If somebody approached you to be his running mate, you can say you are not interested. But what he said publicly was that our people will not vote for Obi. Does he have all the voters card of his people? So, even Jonathan suffered it. When he appointed the son of late Shehu Yaradua as a minister, many people from the north persuaded the boy to leave the cabinet, that Jonathan was a usurper. These are the consequences of war anywhere. You can, even in the United States and Europe, you can see Germany is a very big power, but it doesn't display its military might because it doesn't want to create suspicion. In the crisis between Russia and Ukraine, the chief of the naval staff of Germany persuaded the German government to persuade the Europeans to respect Russia. But because he was a German, the government removed him. If, in terms of the science and the finance of military, Germany can rise, but they don't want problem. Even the Trump that you see in the United States, he has a German origin, and some people are opposed to him because of that. Once you mobilize people to hate, the people who did the mobilization have become very rich. They have forgotten. It's not like raising talks during the election. After you win, you forget them. All the weapons you get them, you don't recover it because you have gotten what you want, and you're on a different plane.
So, at the end of the day, looking at Babangida's autobiography, one would also think that maybe it's time for us to see more. Abdul Salami hasn't given us anyone. Gowon hasn't given his own account as the man who was commander-in-chief during the war. He obviously should be in a position to put some things in perspective, don't you think so?
Well, every story should be listened to because there shouldn't be a single story. There was a lot of officers from this old Eastern region wrote immediately after the war, maybe because our culture is different, nobody's hiding anything, or people were better educated. There was somebody who was a lieutenant before the war, INC Aniebo. He wrote a book, but he couched it like a play. But the title was interesting. It says, The Anonymity of Sacrifice. The Anonymity of Sacrifice. I think for people in my age group and above, there was a belief that whatever Zogu, Anoforum, CAF, and others did, nobody sent them. If it is retaliation, you have retaliated, we are going out because we are no longer safe. The belief was that the justice of the case is, since you have retaliated, you have chased people out, leave them. Many people who supported secession didn't believe that, after massacring people, you will pursue them to their homeland. But it was what happened. And given the violence of the retaliation and the widespread nature of it, you will find that it would have been suicidal to allow the same northern troops who refused to leave Lagos and Ibadan, when they agreed that troops should be separated to avoid further clashes. They refused to go. So if they had come to the east, what would you think would have happened? So it was a war of resistance. I think it's interesting for people to read Ademoyaga's book. Read Afia. These things are not new, Even from Babangida's book, yeah. I think one of the things I saw in the newspapers was that he said that he's joined the army because Gowon persuaded them as a captain. Now you will wonder, was Gowon going to schools did he come to CIC? Did he go to CKC? What we learned before was that the northern political leaders were persuading young boys to join the army to defend their government. From Ahmad Bello's book, that's his autobiography, he said that in 1952, when Abdel Nasser of Egypt overthrew the pharaoh, he became aware that the military was a source of power. So they were actively trying to recruit people who would be loyal to them, not loyal to Nigeria. So for Babangida to say that Gowon was part of those people going to schools to recruit people to, so they were already loyal, not to Nigeria, but to their own part of the country, you know. Like I said, things would have mellowed. Those people who were maybe living two officers in a room, now they have their palaces. They can change their mind about what happened. But like the story of Adam and Eve, when God came to look for Adam, he said, "Where are you?" Say, "I'm hiding." The simple thing Adam would have done from what we now learned is that if he had confessed, say, "My Lord, I have eaten that fruit you said, that please forgive me. Give me your spirit anew," things would have changed.
Well, but you are quoting the Bible, but we are in Nigeria, and things are not just that way. We will take a break here on the Eastern Eye. When we return, we will have more conversations on the IBB's autobiography and emerging issues. Stay with us.
What is the state of the continent of Africa? How shall we interact with the rest of the world? Are we going to relate with the world in terms of donations or in terms of trade? Africa must define what she wants politically. Africa must define herself culturally. Africa must define herself spiritually, because Africa has no choice but to move forward, and forward she will move.
Welcome back to the Eastern Eye here on Afia TV, a program that x-rays the political, social, and economic developments around us. My name is Alex Obodo. Don't mind me, I'm trying to force it with this. I made an eye contact with my cameraman, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what he was giggling about, but that's okay. So let's continue with the conversation. Looking at the books written by some of the head of Obasanjo has written one. Now, IBB has written his own. One thing has always been consistent: everyone will present their own account. But are there lessons to be learned from the books already written? Even if you look at former President Goodluck Jonathan's own
Former
President Goodluck Jonathan. If you look at his own accounts too, everyone at a point in his writing must show that part of him that is human. You know, you would show that part that showed that, yes, I was the president, but I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. Babangida said so in his book. I mean, on all June 12th, I was scared. Abacha might come for me, might take me off. So Jonathan, with all the information he had at his disposal regarding the elections of 2015, he knew he couldn't do anything otherwise, except he would have been, throwing a grenade inside a tanker of petrol. So he had that information. A lot of people said he was weak, but he said he had the information that a country could burn. So that's showing that he is human. isn't it? So is this something that has been consistent with the autobiographies we've seen from former Nigerian presidents? Even with former President Obasanjo's own account with his relationship with his vice president, it showed. Because at the end of the day, it looked like his vice president had an upper hand at a point. But he was supposed to be the commander-in-chief. So there's been that consistent thing that at a point in your presidency, you will be vulnerable.
In fact, there's a paper or a book written by late Chuboka Dibo. He said that one of the problems of Nigerian leadership is that people ride on a regional horse to be national leader. You ride on a regional or tribal horse and declare yourself a national leader. Oh, does it make sense? It is a cause of instability. Let's look at even the account of those who want to make June 12 the issue. The annulment of the election, and for those who do not know, it was the US government that called it annulment. This speech or statement released by Nduka Irabo called it cancellation, election that has already been taking place. To all intents and purposes, that annulment was a coup, as it were, a preemptive coup. If other people who have been overthrown, whether it was Hiroshi, Fajuyi, we are now persuaded to accept the outcome. Why are people who were affected by June 12th not accepting it? That's number one. Number two, after, Shoneko was head of government when Babangida was in office. He appointed him in January as a means of transition, like a prime minister. So when he handed over to him, it was not like a straight thing, but he just called it interim national government. Many of the people who were in Nadeko, including Professor Bolaji Akiyemi and all the people you hear now, openly asked the military to remove Shoneko and install Abiola. That was an invitation for a coup. But all of them now are massed together to say, Hail Mary. Jonathan, when he was in office, tried to honor Abiola's memory by naming the University of Lagos after him.
And they refused.
All hell was let loose. Now, we now have June 12th as a holiday. Nobody cares about it. Those who gave it, don't bother about it. Say, is that what you want? Take it. National Stadium, take it. Yet, it's still the same story. If one would expect efficiency, like, Abiola was, it was felt that the election was good, it was that. Whatever happened in that election was the result of, will I call it, commitment on the part of late Professor, the man who was chairman of
Humphrey
Wosu. He devised a method that could work. That in a country full of illiterates, you don't say you are giving card, you are doing this digital. Come out, queue up behind the person, both at the party primary and at the election. You count, you see it in the open, and you don't transmit it, just everybody knows what happened. Babangida was, I think he agreed that he was manipulating things. Shehu Yaradua was his colleague. They were in the same rank. But Yaradua's father was very rich, very, very rich. He was Minister of Lagos. He owned a construction company called Lord Giani. from the inside sources, the overthrow of Gowon was financed by Sheikh Yaradua. He brought the money. Because just like book launch where you see money going around, people are bought to come to support something. Is it easy to fly to Abuja and fill up space? Somebody must have been sponsoring, bringing people. There are people who don't matter, who came there, who cannot finance their coming. Some people paid for their tickets, provided the hotel accommodation for them. So when they overthrew Gowon, Yaradua was interested in money. He didn't take any of, he became Minister of Transportation. That was when the Tinkan Island was being built. He got there. Of course, you know what money means. That was where Atiku saw that he was a person of influence and followed him. But he was a custom officer. So these things have been networking for a long time. Now, when Muhammad was assassinated, Yaradua, of course, he was the man carrying the bag. They promoted him. You now be hearing story that this man said, this man didn't say. They knew his power. He had political connection. They considered, the story was that, from Danjuma was that they considered Yaradua and Buhari, because two of them served around the east here. He said Buhari was an intransigent person, that they should take Yaradua. But they know who was paying the piper. So they promoted him. From there, he became Major General. Now, when they left office, there was evidence that he was parleying with Chief Awolowo, and many Northerners didn't like it. So all those dribbling, banning and unbanning was part of a regional agenda. He was using money, that's why he was able to buy people like Okadibo. Everybody was joining SDP. When they come to town, they say, who is the happening man? Oh, I say, Alex, that's the guy to come. Alex, come. Take this bag. Buy people. When we come tomorrow, line them up. People joined SDP. Now, when Babangida had, crushed all those people who were rearing up their head, Abiola came out. Abiola himself said, I asked Babangida, are you sure you want to hand over? He said yes. Then he went to buy the nomination. Is that how to join political party? You go to the military head of state and ask him whether you are sure, which means you are together. Maybe there was a game and he felt, this is my friend. Come and run. When I annul it, you will understand. After all, we have been in this thing together. But some people incited Abiola to refuse. And that was how we came to where we are.
All right, just one more thought, because we're almost out of time. No mention was made of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, despite June 12 annulment being a very heated issue in IBB's book. Are you surprised that no mention was made of Professor Humphrey Nwosu?
Nothing surprising. What is revealing for me is that the allegation or the mention of Mrs. Ikpeme, the judge, in that book, according to newspaper reports, Babangida said he now realized that the lady used to work in Akpambo's chamber. Akpambo is an Igbo person.
Yes.
Does it mean that it was Akpambo that was instructing the lady to issue the judgment in the night? These are stories we have heard from Nadeko people before. So maybe Babangida has even joined Nadeko, because even the remark he made, which I saw on TV, that Tinubu is not Jagaba of Bogu, but is Jagaba of the whole world and the whole of Niger State. All these encomiums, fine good, but look at Nigeria. If you were to publish a map of Nigeria and point hotspots, no-go areas, the no-go areas will be more than the what may be considered safe areas. So if this is the outcome of all the development, my watch, under my watch, or wristwatch, or what, then they were watching things going wrong, but they are happy, very happy.
So we need to see more autobiographies. What about Ibitu Ukiwe? His name did not also surface in IBB's book. I don't know, maybe I missed it, but I've been reading through the book. I haven't heard Ibitu Ukiwe's name. Ibitu Ukiwe was Chief of General Staff to IBB before Ikomo came on board.
Yes.
So, any surprises on that too?
That's what I'm telling you. Some people are just revising the story. One of the things that interests me is the death of Adebanjo. I wonder what the man would have said if he was alive. Because if he was alive, he will not go there.
Edwin Clark.
He will give his views from his house, and it will resonate. But maybe, as luck would have it, the man had passed on. Those of us who were adults and alive at the time, we knew that one flashpoint was on a national day parade. Abacha said that Ukiwe should go in to the parade ground before him. Ukiwe said, this is a national event, not a military event. You cannot precede me. You are defense minister, you are this. Yes, if we are doing military things, you are ahead. But this one, if you don't want me, take the post and go. Babangida did not resolve the matter. Then the organization of Islamic Conference, a man spoke out and said, we never discussed it. And that's a national issue, not a military issue. So I think Babangida is not saying everything. So he's trying to paint, that's why I say it's an arrangement. He and those people who now have profited from what is called June 12th, because that is their anthem. They are now united as in a common cause, because all of them have become rich from the event. If you know the amount of money people raised abroad to support Nadeko, if you were to make an inquiry, you see that some people have become very rich from it. All those people who were killed in the course of June 12th, nobody has remembered them. Not one person. So it's, but that is how life is. If you read the history, Roman Empire, British Empire, all this, we go to the UK now, everybody. When we were children, you can't go to, this GRA here. This park lane was meant for white people in our own country. You couldn't go there for treatment. But Psalm 124 says that if the Lord was not on our side, when men rose in anger against us, we would have all been overtaken. So,
you know what, on that biblical note, so that I don't squash it, I have to thank you so much for your deep analysis of the subject today. Thank you so much, Dr. Stan Okeje.
It's my joy coming to your station.
And public policy analyst. In fact, it looked like IBB's autobiography is giving everybody what to talk about. We will continue to take on various angles of this, both on TV and on radio. Remember, Afia TV, Afia has a radio station. It's called Afia Radio 99.3. We're also online, afia993.com, so you can listen. I'll be on Straight Talk by 9 a.m. tomorrow, so you might want to listen if you're within this part. So you can join on the link on afia993.com. You listen to Straight Talk with me, Alex Owodo. Thank you for watching Eastern Eye for tonight. Good night.
Welcome to the latest and most amazing show on your
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lunch Break.
You don't sing along.
I did single.
For real.
You're not a backup singer.
That's what they do.
ladies, join us on Gyna Plus every Wednesday at 6 p.m. right on Afia TV, DSTV channel 254, and GoTV channel 17, where we will delve into health issues affecting girls and women in society.
Breastfeeding doesn't even cause breastfeeding. The frequency of breastfeeding means the approach you take to make sure that your well-being is maintained.
Opinion of the people matters.
Everything to your label.
Nobody wants to hear your voice if you don't have the money.
This is Obwe.